And our attentions on this morning's show now turn to Clare Civil Defence, which has been recognised for its decades of dedicated voluntary service to communities across the county, with a special civic reception hosted by Clare County Council. For generations, Civil Defence volunteers have provided vital support during emergencies, severe weather events, public gatherings and search and rescue operations, giving countless hours of their time to help people keep safe. And the reception was an opportunity to acknowledge not only their long history of service, but also the organisation's commitment, professionalism and community spirit of its volunteers. And joining me now is the Civil Defence Officer with Clare County Council, Stephen Hayes, to reflect on the honour and the work of the organisation. Stephen, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan. Good morning to your listeners.
Thanks very much for joining us, and I suppose well done to you and all your colleagues on the civic reception. What did that recognition mean to you and your fellow volunteers?
Yeah, I suppose, look, it's fantastic to get acknowledged for the work that these people do. You know, last year we celebrated our 75th anniversary of the founding of Civil Defence in Ireland, and I suppose these people they don't look for acknowledgement or not. That's not what they're about. But when they do get acknowledged, it's fitting and it means a huge amount to them.
There were multiple generations of volunteers present on the night, which I'd imagine made for a very special atmosphere. What was it like?
Yeah, fantastic to see I say retired members. They don't like to be referred to as retired. They're the less active volunteers. But yeah, like to see some of the people in the room. There was, there was at least 3 there that had over 50 years. Had given their time over 50 years as volunteers. Fantastic service to the community. To see them all come together to meet some of the newer volunteers, and just a fantastic evening now. And they thoroughly enjoyed it.
And Clare Civil Defence, Stephen, has been serving communities for decades. I briefly touched on some of what you do. Can you give the Morning Focus listeners maybe a bit more of an overview of the organisation's role and maybe how it's evolved over the years too?
Yeah, I suppose if I take it back to my own times, even 28 years in the organisation, our base back then was at the back of the courthouse, the old fire station, and then around 2002 we moved from there to a unit on the Quinn Road, and we were there for 20 years. And during that time, we responded to I suppose the 2009, the big flooding in Ennis, followed by the big freeze 2010. 2016, 2017, we supported the Fla New in Ennis, Fla Ceol na HÉireann. 2019, the flooding in Conlara. These are all the types of events. 2019, 2020, we had COVID. After that, we had the Ukrainian response. And between them times, we had all the severe weather stuff, the missing person searches that goes on, supporting community events throughout the county, whether it be St. Patrick's Day parades, right down to your swims, your runs, your cycling events that go on. That's what we do. We support all these events week in, week out, and all this done on a voluntary basis.
And I'd imagine, that's quite a range of events and that you're required to be at, or where your services are needed. Is that part of what appeals to people who volunteer with Clare Civil Defence, that there's such variety that every day or every other day can be quite different?
Yeah, I think, that's people come in to enhance their own personal skills, to become part of a team, and then ultimately to go on and support their community in times of crisis and in times of fun things with events and stuff like that I spoke of. So there's very little reward for these people, only the satisfaction they get of enhancing their own skills, number one, being part of that team environment, number two, and then going on to help people in the community. That's the only reward you get.
Yeah, and those different kind of events or situations that you're required to be at, I would imagine all require certain, different types of training, be it, a homecoming or, the FLA or a search and rescue operation. What kind of training and preparation is involved in all of those?
Yeah, so in Clare we have a training program. It's delivered over 3 years. So I suppose the initial part is getting the foundation skills, your basic manual handling, your community first responder, the CFR stuff, being Garda vetted, basic using radios, communication stuff, the driving of vehicles, that's all delivered in the first year. The second year then is the more advanced stuff, so we start to more advanced first aid stuff, the search and rescue, safe working near water, swift water rescue, and then as they commit and they keep enhancing their skills and then they move on to year 3 where we're looking at more advanced training. Really, you're getting into maybe piloting drones, operating boats. So there's a structured approach to training. So when you start, you have a clear roadmap to where you're going to be in 2 or 3 years' time, provided you're committed to the organisation and you are giving up your time to make sure that that your skills are good enough to be deployed out to these events and these incidents. That's how it works.
God, it's no wonder, Stephen, that the Department of Defence praised the high standards of training and readiness maintained by volunteers. The least you deserved was that praise.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note as well that this training is delivered by volunteers. It's not delivered by paid professionals. These people, they gather the experience, they get the training, it's all put in, and then they give back. And that's how it, I often talk about the circle, that's how it evolves, that's how it comes around again. People who join Civil Defence got that experience. Some of them might go on to join frontline services. We have members of An Garda Síochána that volunteer, members of the National Ambulance Service, firefighters, and then you have your housewives, you have the administration staff, you have people who work in aviation, you have all walks of life coming in to share their experience with newer people coming in. And that's the part that I always admire the most is these people who've got so much themselves out of civil defence and now they give back, and that's the fantastic piece, and that's what Clare is famous for, that we have a senior group of people there that have, I think with our senior staff group, the minimum number of years is nearly 20 years, and then right up to 40 years, over 40 years service. You can't have that experience within an organisation is just invaluable. It's priceless, really,
Yeah, serious amount of years of dedication and volunteering by members. I wonder, Stephen, how much time volunteers typically commit, say, on a monthly basis, or can it vary depending on a volunteer's life or career circumstances?
Yeah, look, at training, to me, anyone that knows me knows how much I harp on about training and how important it is for volunteers. So there's a minimum of 2 hours a week to come into training. Now again, look, some people, there's things happen in your life where you can't commit for a little while, and that's fine too. But I suppose so the 2 hours for training a week, and then we ask people to sign up for duties and events on weekends, and then we've the unplanned stuff, the call-outs, the missing person stuff, or someone gone into the river or whatever the case may be. So yeah, look, there's no set hours. I obviously push for people to be at training, but after that, it's kind of as much time as you can give to the organisation. And some people are lucky enough to be able to give loads of hours, and then other people might be able to give loads of hours for a while, and then something happens where they have to take a little step back and they can't commit as much. And that's part of being a volunteer, And
what first inspired you to join Clare Civil Defence, Stephen?
So all my family have a huge family history of civil defence. I was only a few years ago, we kind of tallied it up. So in one lifetime, the Dormer family and his, we've over 250 years service given. So I have an uncle that has over 50 years service. I have another uncle, 40 years, a couple of more with 30 years. I have cousins, 20 years, 10 years. Even my parents were in it there for a little while.
That's hugely impressive, isn't it?
My brother as well. He's same. He joined the same time as me, 28 years service. So yeah, look, my family. It's a big family history of being involved in civil defence, and that's what kind of led me to getting involved.
My God, 250 years between all of you is incredible.
In one generation, yeah.
I mean, and 28 years is a huge period of time. Are there particular moments or experiences that stand out? Because as we were mentioning earlier on, you, through being a volunteer at Clare Civil Defence, you could end up being involved in quite a wide range of situations.
Yeah, look, there's lots of incidents there that I remember where we directly saved people's lives, missing person searches where we found people, elderly people, maybe suffering with dementia that we've located alive and well in the middle of the night. I've been at events where, people have required, I suppose, advanced medical care, and we've been lucky enough to be there to step in and help and, save lives. But for me, the biggest part is to watch, to see a volunteer come in that, I suppose a greenhorn has no experience in this, and then within a few years you see him, build up that experience, the confidence, and get all the skills, and then start sharing that with other people. And that's the part that I take the most satisfaction out of, is seeing people grow within the organisation. That's the fantastic part for me.
And obviously,
personally.
Yeah, you all have to show, huge levels of professionalism, and no matter what the situation. But I would imagine helping out and assisting during emergency, severe weather events, and in particular those search and rescue operations, whilst it must be hugely satisfying to help people and, as you've just touched on, Stephen, to locate people, is there a do you all feel the huge level of responsibility and perhaps even pressure that comes with those situations, particularly search and rescue operations, while you're in the midst of trying to locate someone?
No, I wouldn't say pressure. Pressure now, obviously, we're all keen to get out there and try to get these people back to their loved ones, and that's where we take satisfaction out of finding them. I know sometimes they can be grim, it can be not such a great outcome for the family, but for us, we look at it from a different side. All the training, all the equipment we look after, to be able to put that to use and to be able to go and serve and help locate someone and get them back to their family. And that's what we focus on, that as a positive from our side. And that's how we have to, to be able to go on and do this stuff. You have to look at it from a different side, and that's what we do. We focus on the positives, which is, all the training, all the equipment that we look after and maintain is all put to good use, and we go out and do these jobs and hope to get a success of returning someone back to their family.
I'm sure there are people listening this morning who perhaps have had a previous interest in volunteering with Clare Civil Defence, and that interest has been piqued by hearing you chat about it. In terms of what makes the qualities that make a good civil defence volunteer, I would imagine a willingness to muck in and a willingness to learn are key qualities. But what else do people need to have?
To be a team player, to be willing to be part of a team, to sacrifice some time to the organisation and to your community. They're the key things really that we look for people, that they understand the process. And so I suppose that in the modern days of civil defence now, we are, heavily compliant on, having certification in date and making sure that we are, that the volunteers are safe when out doing this work, and that's most important, that they understand there's a huge element of the safety process. Some of this work that we ask people to do is high risk, going out searching near cliffs or near rivers and lakes. This is high risk stuff, and it's important that we have people trained correctly and that their certs are in date, and that they are turning up to training and are ready to go when these incidents happen.
Okay, and if those people who have been thinking about it want to enlist or volunteer, how do they go about doing that? How can they contact you?
Yeah, so you can just go on the Clare County Council website, type in Civil Defence. It'll bring up a lovely little map of Ireland and of all the locations of civil defence units around the country. Or you can go on civildefence.ie. We'll do the same thing. It'll give you a map of Ireland with a little pin drop to where each unit is. You click on that and it'll generate an email. You fill in your little details and I get an email here. We're very lucky in Clare. Right now we have 86 active volunteers. And believe it or not, we're only starting it tonight. We have an open night this evening for new people. So we have 56 people looking to join Civil Defence at the moment. So, huge numbers looking to join. So they're all fantastic things to hear. When you see that large number of people looking to join, we're obviously doing something right. But yeah, that's how you go about joining. You can type in Clare County Council Civil Defence, or you can go on the National Civil Defence website and it will like I said, bring you up a map of Ireland with the pin drop to each where each unit is. And I would encourage people to get out there if they have time to go and volunteer. There's no greater satisfaction than sacrificing your own time to help in the need to be able to help others. You know, people get so much gratitude from doing that, and I would encourage anyone, not even civil defence. It can be your local GAA club. It could be tidy towns. It can be the volunteer centre, Clare Volunteers Centre. It could be any of these things. Go and volunteer. There's no better way. It's great for mental health. It's great for everything, and it's great for personal satisfaction as well. And I would encourage anyone, any of your listeners, to go out and volunteer. It's a fantastic thing. Next year, Clare is the European capital for volunteer. So you know, there's a huge emphasis on volunteering in Clare next year, especially, and I would encourage anyone to go and do some volunteering.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear that there's no shortage of people interested in joining Clare Civil Defence, and once again, well done to you and all the other volunteers there as well. Stephen, thanks so much for having a chat with us this morning.
Alan, thanks a million, and thanks to your listeners.
Take care. Stephen Hayes there, Civil Defence Officer with Clare County Council, joining us on Morning Focus.